Yeah.
What can you learn from Mac after kind of getting him back in the flow of things and getting the wind under his belt?
Yeah, I thought he did a good job just leading the offense, kind of taking what was there. Obviously, we got something going late in that game, which we got to find a way to get that going sooner. That's kind of happened to us the last couple of weeks of just finding some rhythm late in the second half. But, the challenge is getting it from the opening kickoff.
Doug said that during his post-game comments that you and him had a conversation on the sideline during the second half of you got to get Brian Thomas Jr. involved. What was that kind of interaction like, and how do you do that for a whole game moving forward?
Yeah, it's always the plan to start with getting your best players of football. Sometimes there's things the defense will do to take it away. Sometimes something comes up throughout the course of the play that prevents that from happening. There's a lot of times you call plays and he's a primary, and for whatever reason the ball doesn't find him. So it kind of just became we're going to force him the ball at some point in time. And you don't always want to go that way, but we felt like that was something we needed to do. So it was more just we're going to put him over here, we're going to call a screen, we're going to call some dropbacks, and the ball's going to go to Brian. Ultimately, that's what got us sparked right there. So however it gets there, you got to find different ways to be able to incorporate all your good players and give them opportunities to affect the game.
Matt, hard to do that all the time, Chris.
Yeah.
Some people are going to say, hey, just do that.
Yeah, and definitely it's not as simple as that. It was a point in time where we weren't having much success, and we needed this is what we're going to do. Now, at the same time, we didn't have a ton of opportunities. We had 3 drives in the first half, one of them starting from our -2 that eventually became a 2-minute drive into half. So you got to get the snaps, you got to get opportunities with the football to be able to put yourself in those situations. But and there's times you call things. We've had some wild ones this year. We call screen to Brian. The ball doesn't get thrown for one reason or another. We have different things where you think you're forcing it to him and it doesn't find him. Different way. Or a pressure look and the quarterback changes the play. Whatever that may be, some of those things come up from time to time. But, it's on us to continue to find ways to feed him opportunities to affect the game.
Matt kind of talked about yesterday how Brian demands the football. Do you like that in a wide receiver, and how is that sort of balance, I guess, quarterback-wide receiver combo?
Yeah, I understand he said that. I think it's very different than probably the perception you think of when you think of receivers demanding the football. He's not over there throwing his helmet down, yelling about getting the ball in anybody's face, anything like that. I think he's a guy that wants the ball like anybody, but never once has he ever shown his character to be something different than we know it to be. He'll do whatever we ask him to do as long as it's helping the team win. That's the big thing is all these guys, they'll do anything as long as they think it's going to help us win. So we appreciate that, and he is awesome. He's been a pro through and through. Like anybody, when we're losing, there's frustration. But, Brian's certainly capable of helping us win games, and we need to continue to get the football to him.
During your time here, from time to time, we've heard you guys mention, think players, not plays. Is it getting to, with the offense struggling, is that kind of something that you guys are starting to think more of, thinking how to get these players involved instead of maybe the plays?
Yeah, certainly. And there's always, every play you put in, you look at who the primary is, who the secondary is, where you think the ball is going to go based on what the look is. And every play then takes on a life of its own once the ball's snapped. So things change. But we've always started players, not plays. When we go through opening script, top third downs, top red zone calls, top backed up calls, it starts with who do we think is going to get the ball first. And we always kind of build, from who we think has an opportunity based on tendency, based on skill set, based on what those routes are, or what that play is, of who the better ball carriers on this certain play. How does that align with what we've shown in our past as well? So that's always something we're very conscious of, yes.
How does Josh Reynolds kind of fit in to what you guys want to do?
I think Josh, like we mentioned last week, just Josh's experience, we've always kind of had that guy that's just not necessarily a role player, but a role player in a way of they do certain things. They do a lot of things really well, and I think that's Josh. And it was cool just to see him. It's cool to see him learn the offense and communicate things back, because that's the hardest part. Every play we run is a play somebody else runs as well. We just communicate it probably differently than what he's used to from L.A., Denver, Detroit, wherever he's been. It probably sounds a little different, but he recognizes it. And so it's how quickly can we get that learning process in there for him. But he's shown, we did one-on-ones yesterday. He ran a great route out of the slot. He did something outside that was good. He's got a lot of length. He's got speed. He's got burst. He's got intelligence. So those are all things that, continue to introduce him without overwhelming him. I don't know that it's fair to him to just assume he's going to go out here and run every single play in the game plan.
I assume if you had him all year, he would be sort of like that Marvin Jones role. In terms of the veteran guy that's around the help and stuff too.
Yeah, I think some of that just being able to do a lot of different things. I do think he's got the ability to play inside, outside, to run across the field, to run down the field, to win contested catches. It's as we get to know him and see him up close and personal, you kind of envision a lot of opportunities for him.
How are you trying to balance, I guess, the running back room between Tank and Travis?
Yeah, a lot of times it's just kind of how the game's going. You want to give each guy some opportunities. There are certain things where this guy does this really well, that guy does that really well. I think if you were to pick how the season would go and how the course of things would go, they'd probably both have around 15, anywhere from 12 to 20 opportunities apiece. That doesn't mean necessarily that they're all runs or they're all passes. It's a mix and match of opportunities to get touches, and that's assuming everything's up and running. You're getting your 65 to 75 plays a game. You're in normal down situations. You kind of dictate how the game flow goes. But those are two of our most impactful players, and they have different skill sets. They have different ways of going about it. But at the same time, there's enough crossover where they're good at the same things that if one's up, one's down, you can still run your offense through the running back.
What stands out about the Jets defense to you?
Speed. They play incredibly fast. First of all, the defensive line just getting off the ball, jetting, penetrating into the backfield. The defensive ends getting up the field, and then just the D tackles burst off the ball and being able to penetrate gaps. And then you see everything play off of that. The second level flows sideline to sideline as well as anybody we've seen. So they're trying to put a dent in your offensive line, and then those guys clean everything up pretty quickly. The back end's aggressive. They do a good job. There's not a ton of disguise, but enough things look the same to where you're not really sure until post-snap what the coverage is going to be. So I think just the number one thing that jumps off the tape is how fast they play.
Anything else? All right. Thanks.
Cool.
Thanks, Jeff.
Run around, making plays with his legs, and he can make every throw. Ball's coming out quick. You know, it's going to be a huge challenge as it is every time you play him. So, still playing at a high level, sees the game extremely fast and gets the ball out, and we got to do a good job in our rush, not letting them extend, and then in our coverage, playing tight coverage, no easy throw. So, nothing cheap, nothing deep, and keep them in the pocket.
How much stress can Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams put on a secondary?
A lot, yeah. Two really good wideouts. I mean, they got a ton of weapons. I mean, it's going to be a really good test. Look, we just got to play our game. Like that's we got to be aggressive with them. Can't let them get going, easy throws, easy completions, make it tough on them, make them earn every yard, those type of things. And we got to do a good job in the run game. Don't give them third and shorts. Convert and keep the drive going. So, guys, they'll be up for the challenge for sure.
Last week, I think it was Darnell and Antonio started at safety, Cisco started on the bench, and then rotated in. Is that kind of what you're going to do going forward, and what was the reasoning for the change?
So maybe. All right, so we're going to continue the rotations, just kind of how we've always done. And then the reason's just, another guy, opportunity, been playing good football, and just keep it fresh, keep moving. It's not good, bad, or indifferent. It's just, what we're going to do. And I think you guys have seen that with just about every position we've had is, keeping guys moving in and out and a lot of guys playing. So we'll continue that trend.
You've seen Antonio improve over the course of maybe from the beginning of the year to now.
I think recently, the last 4 or 5 games, I think he's playing a lot better football. Really do. He's seeing the game slowing down for him a little bit. Look, this is a guy who hasn't played a lot of football, National Football League, didn't play a ton last year, and kind of threw him in early in the season, and you know, he went through a little bit of growing pains, but give the guy a lot of credit. You know, he's worked hard at it. He's studied a lot with Chris and Corey. You know, he spent the extra time. He was coming in, extra meetings, things like that. It's starting to pay off for him. You know, so really last 4 or 5 games playing, thought he played really well last game. You know, he was all over the place. A couple things we still need to clean up, but you know, it's trending in the right direction.
What did Jari enjoy on Sunday?
Well, I mean, he just continues to get better. Like, that's what he just shows. He continues. He has a couple of PBUs. He had a really good series at a sack, you know, PBU and a sack back to back. This is a guy that is, the ceiling continues to rise. You know, we think that he's going to be, you know, for many years a very good pro. You know, and so it's just with him, it's, hey, this play, you know, the next play in that game, and just stay on course with that type of mindset and that growth, and just kind of the one play at a time deal, and you just keep putting good plays together. Like, that's, and kind of defensively, that's where we're at. But with him, I mean, he played really good. You know, we're looking forward to it again.
How impressive of a play was that sack? It seemed like he was really able to bend under tackle and dip around the edge.
Yeah, it was really good. You know, I mean, you saw him come off the edge, and then his dip and get low and turn and you know, get the quarterback down is pretty impressive.
Speaking of young guys, how about Mason Smith? I mean, he was inactive a couple times, kind of healthy scratch early in the year now. Looks like he's giving you some pretty good snaps out there.
Sure. You know, rookie, you know, and he did have the injury, you know, so that kept him down for a couple of weeks. But another guy that's continued to get better, and he's made some plays last couple of games, so he'll be up doing it again.
Mason said last week that he really needed to improve in his run defense. Just where have you seen him grow, probably in that area?
You know, really his block recognition and reaction, you know, seeing it faster. I mean, it's such a big thing that he, you know, when you see the block, how you react to it and go attack it, you know. And so, you know, started out in OTAs in camp and then working all the way through. He's gotten a lot better, using his hands, getting off blocks, things like that.
Defense didn't give up a touchdown last week. How do you build off that?
Yeah, thanks for jinxing us. Yeah, so look, the next drive, really play one. You know, P and 10 against the Jets, you know, on Sunday. Like, that's, we got to win that rep, and that's what we were just talking to our guys. Hey, look, just play, you know, fundamentals, technique, play hard, you know, be tough, you know, fly around, tackle. You know, we got to tackle a little bit better this week, you know, and take the ball away. But, you know, we're going to focus on the first play of the game and that drive, and let's get off the field and get this game started. But, you know, one play at a time.
Does it feel like the defense as a whole is kind of coming together more over the last month and playing more consistent football?
We feel like, you know, since we've been back from London, you know, that game in London, and look, there's a couple of games in there that, you know, wasn't really, I don't think, who we are, but I think as a whole we're starting to play better a little bit maybe understanding of the guys on the field and making calls and checks. I thought last game we communicated really well. I think that was a big part of it. Last couple games communicated really well. We still have a couple things we need to clean up. Obviously, it's never going to be perfect, but we're getting better. Guys are getting better, and you know, hopefully continue that trend. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Okay. Thank you.